Hello everyone, Alexandra here with another video. Lovely people on this channel, good that you're here again, thanks for tuning in. And I know I've been lazy making videos, I just done these nice easy breezy reels, overlaid some music, you know what you see in the short section of my channel. I'm having a lot of fun with this, but also I know this channel is also dedicated to helping dog owners, also to do some advocacy really that I want to do, promoting force-free dog training methods. As you all know, hopefully, if not, doesn't matter, I'll just quickly cover it again. I'm a crossover trainer, I used to be a balance trainer, very fond of the common narratives that you need, especially with large and powerful dogs, like my own livestock guardian dog, dogs of mastiff type like her. You need like strong methods, you need to be the pack leader, you need to be the alpha, the dominant one, and you need tools of management like prong collars and maybe an e-collar if you want to let the dog off leash and so forth. So I, after I changed sides, so to speak, I totally did away with my e-collar that I had for Maya. I did away with the prong collar, though those are shoved away in the cupboard just to, for the occasion of maybe making an educational video, explaining people how these tools work, what they look like, and maybe how they would feel like on a dog if we imagine that a dog's skin is far more sensitive than a human skin. If you don't believe that, I haven't made it out of up of thin air. Actually, I'm quoting an article by Roman Gottfried. Look him up. I'm gonna post a link to his page in the description of this video or in a comment. He's well worth following. He's a crossover trainer himself, and he's depicting the entire crossover journey very beautifully and very transparently, and I think there's really much to be learned from his writings on different aspects of the journey and of balance training, e-collar training. He used to be an e-collar trainer, and yeah, switching over to the force-free side of things as well. So with that said, today I would like to talk about a question that I get asked a lot in the force-free community from people who know I'm a crossover trainer. I worked for American Standard Dog Training, DIY Canine, and Familiar Canine Leaders, which is now Will Atherton, the dog trainer. So yeah, I've been very immersed in the balanced world of training, and now I crossed over in the course of several months. And the question lots of force-free trainers ask me is, why is it so difficult to have you guys, so the balanced trainers, cross over? Like, why don't you see 2021 as the AFSAP statement that clearly states aversive methods are no longer needed in dog training or animal training in general, and that is a worldwide consensus of the leading behavioral organizations for animals in general and dogs in specific. So it should be easy breezy, right? Everyone reading that should really say, oh yeah, sure, wonderful, let's just embrace this new this new scientific findings as our guideline here and get on with it, become a crossover trainer, leave the aversive methods behind. And what you see here is Mikey. I always point in the wrong direction because the camera is like in reverse, is left and right, so that gets me confused every time. But this is this is Mikey the beagle in the background, for those of you who might be wondering. But anyway, so why is it so difficult for balance trainers to just see the light, in air quotes, and hop over the fence to become now force-free trainers? It should be easy, right? I want to give you a few reasons that I think, from my experience, why it's not easy, and it hasn't been easy for me. What has made it possible for me, definitely to cross over with relative ease, is, I would say, having a mentor more than anything. In my case, I was extremely lucky because Zach George himself was kind enough to answer to my questions, and first in his comment sections and later also in direct messages, because it started to become for me a matter of utmost importance, not only to cross over and become a force-free trainer / consultant / dog owner, but also to get deeper into advocacy, to raise public awareness on the matter of shock collar training / e-collar training / prong collar training, and to start different projects in that line of say public education, or you could even say activism in a way, in that we are as a collective, as a group of like-minded people, trying to further the public awareness of why we no longer need to use aversives in dog training. So along those lines, I had the pleasure to liaising more closely with Zach George, and it's been such a help, a tremendous help for me to get all the way across the fence. So from being into e-collar training, using e-collars on my personal dogs, as well as using prong collars and on dogs that I worked with, my own and clients' dogs as well on the training field, to now fully saying, okay, I'm a force-free trainer, I'm no longer advocate for pain and fear and dog training, or aversive tools, or aversive techniques, and so forth. I would say in my case that explains the why I've come like all the way, and I'm not stuck on the fence, still advocating halfway for the balance trainers and say, oh, but they're so nice people, you know, we shouldn't talk to them too firmly about these things, we should be diplomatic. I'm done with that. I'm not picking fights, I'm not like going to people's pages and attacking them. I might post the odd comment, but I'm trying to be remaining polite in all that, and just educational if possible, because I know there's budding crossover trainers in these comment sections of these balance trainers as well. So sometimes I might pop in there and answer a question or make a statement that I find makes sense, you know, just speaking up a little bit, but not also respecting people's comment section, because it's their comment sections, it's their pages, you know, so there's no use in me going on there and proactively like talking down on them and their training methods. What I usually do is I either support people who are already like force-free people in these comment sections, making a statement, put a like, put a nice little comment, say, yeah, I agree because of such and such reason, or maybe answer questions that a trainer who has, or dog owner who has questions, who has doubts, is asking, like, oh yeah, what about stopping pulling? How do you do that? And then it becomes a conversation, and it can become mutually beneficial, I would say. So back to the question of why it's so difficult for balance trainers / dog owners / canine professionals in any route to become a force-free advocate, force-free trainer. I would say first of all, the money, the financial considerations, and that's a big one, you guys, because if you imagine, if you say Max Smith has built his dog training business, imaginative person, has built his dog training business around a e-collar course, and a course that features prong collars, like walking your dog without leash pulling, so fixing leash pulling and using the prong collar as primary tool. Maybe Max has also built a board and train kennel with big facilities, so he has this big warehouse-like facility. He's built out his kennels, he's invested tons of money, he's built a big team of kennel helpers, of assistant trainers who are on site taking care of people's dogs. Maybe he's catering to 20 different dogs each given month that are living in these kennels being trained. Do you really think Max Smith, now with his booming business, having to provide for an entire team of people and their households and their income, do you think Max Smith is going to be open to the idea of embracing force-free dog training? Maybe not, probably not, right? It becomes a financial issue to suddenly make the switch if you are, I think, if you are a well-established business owner. it is a bit easier for people like me who've just been employed or freelancing for balance trainers, because for us, I mean, still, it is a challenge. Yes, okay, there is a financial backup solution that's needed in the crossover process, because also, whilst we do crossover and we ask, hopefully, the mentors and friends we have made on the other side of the fence, we have the chance to ask them lots of questions. We are learning the processes of solving all these common behavioral training problems without the use of force, right? And in that process, we're still evolving, so we're still probably not confident enough to say, okay, I'm a force-free trainer slash consultant, call me up and pay me money for it, because you wanna hone your craft and your skills and your understanding first before you do that. So a different financial situation will unfold once you leave your employment, you're freelancing, you're working for balance trainers, balance training businesses. And in my case, I'm very lucky because with my husband, we own a coaching business for humans, for people. And that is the backup thing that we could fall back on. I was able to fall back on just working as a coach alongside my husband in his business, in our shared business. Other people might have to temporarily find another solution, maybe take on short-term temporary employment until they feel confident to say, okay, I'm this now force-free trainer. Maybe they even want to go the route, make a certification process, like with Victoria Stilwell Academy for dog training, or a related program. I'm not yet completely familiar with all the programs out there. I know some of them are allegedly force-free, but still they do still subscribe to the Lima model, which is least intrusive, minimally aversive, which is now outdated. So it's not perfect. I don't know, I mean, you have to ultimately do your research and find what works best for you, but money is a very substantial reason and a understandable reason, I would say, why people hesitate. It's a valid reason, because we all have to feed us, look that we have a roof over our head, look that our pups have food and have a roof over their head. We have this responsibility, right? If we have kids, it's even more poignant of a point. So money is one reason. The other reason, I would say, is peer pressure, not in the sense that the balanced community there's this horrible people, they keep on bullying each other. No, it's actually, I found many friends in that community whilst I was in there, and granted now, because I'm not being shy about saying that I totally crossed over. I no longer advocate for Brongan e-collars and so forth, so my former friends of the balanced world are still Facebook friends, and there is a mutual respect. I don't get into like discussions of any negative sort. It's more like, okay, we've seen what you're doing. we're not asking questions about that so much, and vice versa. I'm not asking questions, hey, how's the employment for this balanced dog training company going these days? So it's a bit, it put those friendships, I would say, a bit on a standstill, of no fault to my former friends and teammates, because they are still in that world of balanced dog training where, and that's another important point, where force-free trainers are regarded as the enemy. Let's just say it as it is. I mean, Zach George is being ridiculed, called all names under the sun. That's a known thing for anyone in the balanced world, and apart from a few very decent YouTube influencers also who are very respectful about this. I see the controversy and they're just very decent and respectful. It's the only way I can put it. Jason Corey comes to mind as I would say, the forerunner of these dog owners slash dog trainers slash influencers. He's not a trainer by profession, but he has these two massive, giant, black, stunning Cane Corso Mastiffs called Bruce Wayne and Joey Justice. And from his channel there's a lot to learn, even so he's on the balanced side in my opinion, simply because he is a owner of two incredibly large, heavy, powerful dogs, 150 pounds one, the other 140 pounds, you know, and was able to raise and train these dogs with a minimum of aversiveness, I would say. I mean, he has prong collars on them in public, but you don't see Jason Corey on video at least yank at his dogs or give corrective leash pops, unless he feels the need to. But these dogs are very well trained, I would say. So for a balanced trainer slash owner slash influencer, he's, I think, the most decent one and the best one. And I say that also because the reaction videos he sometimes makes are extremely respectful. He's saying, okay, yeah, this is how I would not train, this is how I would train, but there's no venom in it, there's no animosity. It's just, yeah, these trainers seem to be very nice, caring people. It's just I would train differently in this instance. So, yeah, so the peer pressure is another important aspect why it's so difficult to cross over. So you're in this community of tightly knit friends, colleagues, in the balanced world, and suddenly you're interested in stepping out of there. It's tricky, and that's why I believe you have to watch one of my other videos to fully understand that. I guess if you're new to this channel, I call this the fake force-free trainers. And in that video about fake force-free trainers, I speak a bit more about what they are, but who they are, I should say. But basically a fake force-free trainer is often a former balanced trainer who hasn't hopped the fence all the way, so they're kind of stuck on top of the fence, like saying, okay, I'm force-free now, and taking clients and taking money, most importantly, from people who want a force-free trainer, and at the same time they are still very much befriended with balanced trainers and, you know, jumping to their aid on social media, defending them against the so-called extremists of force-free training. That would be people like Zach George, Victoria Stilwell, Linda Michaels, myself also now. I'm a nobody, but I count myself proudly to be among those people, attitude-wise, philosophy-wise now, in this point in my life. And I don't see myself leaving from that standpoint anytime soon either. So it's, maybe if new scientific evidence comes out that says, okay, in dog training we missed all that XYZ, we now have to pivot to that, okay, then I'll pivot with the scientific consensus of the planet. I'm not gonna dig my heels in against that. But for the time being, that's where I stand. So the peer pressure issue here is that it's very difficult to break loose and suddenly lose your friends whom you liaise with, write, chat, DM every single day. I mean, in my previous employment with my moderators, I had assembled and led a team of 16 moderators for the community section that we had built at DIY Canine, and these have become personal friends also, you know, and every day in my life, pretty much 2 years, almost for 2 years, I had daily dealings with these moderators on a very friendly basis, and we used to have these meetings, we used to have private chats, and, you know, just be very aligned, anti the positive only, as we call them, the hot dog people, the hot dog throwers, and made fun of Zach George and all Victoria Stilwell, she's so bad, and we used to say all that, and we used to be uniformous in that, and there is a, you know, this weird gratification that one gets if one is in one camp and is like united against the enemy in a way. So yeah, to lose that has certainly not been easy. And again, what has helped me is the contact to Zach George himself, starting with being active in his comment section and taking it from there. And what also helped was the support of Linda Michaels and her amazing Facebook group, Do No Harm Dog Training. She wrote books about this. Like, she's a big, what should I say, originator of the Do No Harm Dog Training movement very, very big, massive Facebook group. And her people in her group, her moderators, Roman Gottfried, the one I mentioned earlier, among them, they just been instrumental in helping me cross over and get through this phase where it was like, oh my God, I just totally, ruined it with all my former friends. I mean, not that they came at me and said, you evil one, what have you done? They didn't. In fact, they were very helpful in helping me, after parting ways with the business to, one of them even created a free website for me. I mean, wow, this is so amazing. If you're watching this now, you know who you are. Thank you so much again. It's another one wrote a testimonial, and it's been super amazing. But the process of losing the old peer group and getting into the new one is not easy. And now I found the new one. I'm very happy and socially extremely happy in that, because I find so much gratification in exchanging thoughts and ideas, and just bouncing off plans, ideas, inspirations, insights and questions with other people in this field. And I find it very, very rewarding, much more really than before, because I had an amazing life in the balanced field, and now I find that life is even much richer in the force-free community, because in my view, it's infinitely more interesting because it embraces science, scientific insights. It doesn't block off scientific consensus. It doesn't block off a community of canine behaviorists and behavioral scientists. It learns from them, the force-free field does, and we learn and grow together in this, and it's a beautiful thing. So having found new friends now, I'm happy. So we have the reasons why it's difficult to cross over. We have the money, the biggest one I think, the peer pressure, second biggest one I think, and the third one is a little bit, you might call it ego, but it's really just the way humans. I think neuroscience would have something to say about the phenomenon of neuroplasticity. Like you can, if you think about it, in the brain you have these neural pathways that form over life, and they create these habitual patterns. So you always need your coffee first thing in the morning. Well, part of it may be physical dependency to caffeine, you're hooked. I no longer am, but I used to be for sure. Every morning I needed the coffee, otherwise the migraine-like headaches would start. It's horrible. But also it's your habit, it's your habitual pattern. You think you need the coffee and you need your croissant, or your world will end, or you can't start into your day, or you can't get the work day going, or whatever it may be. But it's a habit. Once you learn a new habit, which could be, okay, every time I get up, I take a cold shower right away. I don't, okay, I'm not so heroic, but it's possible. I had a time in my life where I actually did that, and it worked. The habit is building and building until it becomes the normal thing. You wake up and you even want to have a cold shower, not because it's so pleasant, which it obviously isn't, but because you habituate it. So the neural pathways have formed between the idea of getting up and the idea of cold shower. It's like a connection has been formed in the brain. I'm not a neuroscientist, they can explain that much better than me. But it's a habituation of patterns. And I think in the balanced world, we've been habituated by, also by history, because it's the archaic way of teaching dogs. It's like carrot and the stick, or teaching any animals, or in a few decades ago, people been teaching their children like this, like physically punishing children, and which I'm totally 100% against, by the way, as well. And horses have suffered tremendously at the hands of humans by punitive measures and punitive tools that have been put on them, and are being put on them. It's far from over. So yes, the carrot and the stick is a traditional way of teaching animals, training animals to do anything. And it's just a few decades ago that positive reinforcement training has been brought into the forefront by Karen Pryor and her work, which was groundbreaking, and is now being continued by Ken Ramirez and others, and promoted by pretty much all the force free dog trainers in the world. Like how amazing a positive reinforcement works so well. So yeah, but the habituation, that stuckness in the old pattern, oh, I have to use force, I have to use the collar grab method, or I have to use the yank method, or I have to use the leash pop with the prong, or I have to press my e-collar remote. That has become ingrained patterns in so many. And to let go of these patterns, it needs literally a physical rewiring of the brain, of the neural pathways. It needs a breakage of the habitual patterns, and this is not easy to achieve because habits run deep, and it is as the concept of neuroplasticity says, it is a physiological thing. So we have these connections between in our brain between these forming these neural pathways that force us almost to behave in certain ways over and over and over again. And obviously it's not very conducive to learning and evolution, so to come out of that takes effort, and it takes repetition, building new habits. And for me, what did it literally was, again, giving credit where it's due, listening to Zach and Bree George in their message about the crisis in dog training. I used to listen to these videos you can find on their YouTube channel, Zach George Dog Training Revolution YouTube channel. You can find a playlist saying called the Dog Training Crisis, and there is a list of videos that I kept watching and watching and watching because I really wanted to get to the bottom of, is this making sense? Yeah, of course it's making sense. Yeah, okay, but let me, just understand that better. And through repetition, I was able to get to my light bulb moment where it was like, but it's scientific consensus that says aversives are no longer needed. So who am I then, as little me person who has a degree in philosophy and literature and not science, not behavioral science, not biology even, who am I then to think that I know better than the scientific community of the whole planet? It's ridiculous. I come to that conclusion, but only after listening over and over and over again to the same thing. Finally, it kind of dawned on me, and now I have changed in so many ways, I can't even begin to tell you, So again, to summarize the reasons why it's so difficult for us balanced trainers to cross over to the force-free sector, it's money, the biggest point I would say, then it's peer pressure. You lose all your social environments, your network, you kind of have to find a completely new footing in this new community now, unless you want to stay stuck on the fence, which would make you one of these fake force-free trainers, and I just don't recommend it. For the sake of clarity, people, just pick your side of the fence where you want to be, what you want to stand for, because you can't have your cake and eat it, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. Other people may call me undiplomatic or extreme or something. That's my opinion. So and we have the habituation, the habitual patterns of continuing the old ways. There are other reasons. I hear that Dr. Sassy Todd has written an excellent article about this, why it's so difficult to embrace the new ways for the balanced folks. There's certainly more reasons than I've just recounted, but for me it's the main three, the money, the social pressure, peer pressure, and the habituation, following the old ways like we always have done, so we don't make the conscious effort to change. So that's the why. It's not an excuse, but I think it's somewhat of an explanation. I hope this can clear some things up. Some of you have had this question as to why it's so hard for us to to switch and become force free. Yeah, so I hope this video helps you out, and see you in the next one. Thanks for listening.